If you hear this video, you hear my words, man, please call Apple and complain and tell them that it is unfair that they are forcing people to have to subscribe for a piece of software that they already purchased. Friends and family, greetings. How are you? I hope that all is well with you, and I hope that all is well with your families. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of My2Cents with me, TrickyRicky. All right, guys, so I've been reading an article today on my Google timeline. I found this article, and they are saying that Apple has finally released Final Cut Pro for iPads. That right there alone is enough to drive every Final Cut user off the cliff, because for the longest, guys, we've been longing for this application. In addition to the release of Final Cut Pro on the iPad, they also released Logic for iPad, right? Now, there is this one curveball when it comes to, well, actually three curveballs when it comes to Final Cut Pro for iPad. Number one, the system requirements. You will need an M1 base iPad, right? Number two, it is subscription based, meaning you will have to pay like $4 per month or pay an annual subscription of $49.99. Now, I purchased Final Cut Pro on the App Store a while ago. So although I purchased Final Cut Pro, I would still be subjected to the subscription fee. So I called Apple to complain about this and to get more clarification into why would they make the application ready for iPad, but only exclusive for the silicone iPads. But Logic itself, it will run on a non-silicone iPad. I think it had to have a Bionic 12 chip or whatever it is, chip model 12 with the iPads. That will work with Logic, all right? So like I say, how could they design an application that is originally based on Mac OS, they bring it to iPad OS, but then they separate the two like this? One of the softwares or applications, it calls for an M1 based silicon iPad, and the other app, it doesn't. You know, I could understand if they had did the same thing with Final Cut Pro. I believe a Bionic 12 chip or whatever that chip name is, chip number 12. I believe that chip would be strong enough to handle and edit in Final Cut Pro. I've been using LumaFusion on my iPad, and it is basically the same thing because secretly, if you guys didn't know, Apple, they did purchase LumaFusion, and that is how they use the architecture to build Final Cut Pro, because LumaFusion is basically a mobile version of Final Cut Pro. So there's this huge disparity, right? So everyone is waiting for this to come to iPad. But what are you going to do when you find out that you cannot install the application because you're not running a silicon-based iPad? It's not fair. That's what I told him, and he agreed. All right. Furthermore, if you purchase something one time, why would you have to be subjected to a subscription? I asked the agent that as well, because there has been many applications that I've purchased on the App Store on my Mac and turn around and install the same application on my iPad, but my purchase, it registered. But why won't this purchase for Final Cut Pro register? I'm not sure what the deal is with Logic, because I just got so turned off by the article, I just swiped it away, guys. So yes, they're projecting Final Cut Pro to be released on the iPad around the 23rd of May, 2023. I might be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the release date. So before you guys get your hopes up, just be ready for a setback or a letdown. You either gonna have to sell your old iPad and get a silicone iPad, in which I'm not doing. All right. I'll get to that in a moment. And then you have to pay a subscription regardless if you had already purchased the Final Cut Pro application on Mac at its full price. All right. So that's really crazy. This whole silicon system that Apple is implementing is shaking the game up, guys. I recently upgraded and got a 2023 MacBook Pro, and turns out the freaking thing will not operate with any interface that is FireWire. I ended up having to buy a USB-C freaking interface in order to use it with it. And then some older model USB-based interfaces, they don't work. So it's like this new system that they have with this silicon line is calling for everyone to ditch what you have, to go out and buy the new bells and whistles just to get what you want, and turn around and still have to fork out more money. I got my MacBook Pro, tried to use an older interface and it didn't work, and I ended up having to buy a new interface. And because I want to be able to use this interface with my iPad or my iPhone to do a podcast, I still need to buy a freaking adapter. So when the man is in, you know. But guys, sound off in the comment section. How do you feel about this latest release of Final Cut Pro coming to the iPad operating system? It requires a silicon iPad, but you know, hey, it is what it is. But guys, that's going to sum up today's video. And I do thank everyone who took out the time to listen to me rant about this for a moment. But hopefully Apple will change its tune. If you hear this video, you hear my words, man, please call Apple and complain and tell them that it is unfair that they are forcing people to have to subscribe for a piece of software that they already purchased on the App Store, regardless of the App Store being on Mac computers versus the App Store for iOS or iPad OS. It doesn't matter because it's all tied to your iCloud account, right? And if you make a purchase on the App Store on your Mac, and then you go to the App Store on your mobile device via iPad OS or iOS, and you find the same freaking application that was designed and you pay for it, your payment will be counted and you will be able to download it. But in the case of Final Cut Pro, that is not so. Why did Apple have to make one application silicon exclusive and make the other one not? All right. So that's going to sum up today's video, guys. And I do thank all those who stayed until the end. And until we meet again, please stay safe, hold it in a road. And I'll see you guys on the next show. All right. Peace.